Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about two of my favorite rappers, T.I. and Kanye West. We're going to talk about T.I., Kanye West, and the weight of generational curses. Both of these men have been in the news media a lot lately, particularly the social media streets. And there are a couple lessons I picked up in kind of observing what they were kind of going through. So get comfortable, buckle up seatbelt. We're going to get started on drboycetv.com right now.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to co-sign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to drboycetv.com, the home for intelligent Black people. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I want to welcome everybody to the platform. I want to say hello to Anthony, Don, Frederick, S. Brown, Maurice Harrell, Jay Cooper. Give me a yes in the chat if you can hear me okay. I always do an audio sound check real quick. Give me a yes in the chat if you're able to hear me. What's going on? My name is Corey, Maurice Harrell. You able to hear me? Jay Cooper, can you hear me? Give me a yes that you can hear me. Also, shout out the city that you're from. I see Baltimore, and I also see Sarasota, Florida. And thank you, Frederick and Markeith and Atlanta's Black Wall Street, and Anthony Whitehurst and Sandra. I see you and Frederick, in Betty and Olivia and Aliof and everybody else. I see you. I see you. I see Austin, Texas for April, Detroit, Albuquerque for Frederick, Olympia, Washington for Sandra. I see H-Town in there, Orangeburg, Lawton, Oklahoma. I'm in Oklahoma now. I'm actually at Black Wall Street today, actually. I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma this week. So Oklahoma is my city. OKC for the housing blog. Well, good to see everybody. Good to see you. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Let's just jump right in. First thing I want to do is at the beginning of the podcast, I always have to do a quick little PSA. I guess because I have over 1 million subscribers on different YouTube channels, there are people out there that create fake accounts and they pretend to be me and they say, hey, inbox me, or here's my WhatsApp number, things like that. I want to just make sure I warn everybody, do not follow these accounts. Do not give them your money because that's what they're going to do. They're going to eventually ask you for money. They're going to try to get you to invest in some crypto thing. And some of you have lost thousands of dollars with these people. So they're disgusting. They make me angry. And if you see these accounts, if you could please report them, I'd appreciate it. I don't know how to stop it, but the only thing I know how to do is just let everybody know that's listening to my podcast. So some of you have probably give me a yes if you've been approached by any of these fake voice accounts out here. It's crazy. They're on TikTok, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, YouTube, any platform. It's insane, and they have full conversations with you. Like they'll literally be talking to you like they're me. So if somebody that you think is me ever inboxes you and starts talking to you directly, I want you to ask the trick question like, okay, can we have a face-to-face Zoom meeting so I can meet you, Dr. Boyce, in person? And I guarantee the answer is going to be no, because it won't be me in your inbox. And if I ever am in your inbox, I will do a Zoom with you. All right. So anyway, let's jump into this. So first off, let me do a quick survey and ask you guys how many of you have followed any of this. How many of you have noticed what's going on with Kanye West right now? Give me a yes or no if you've seen this, but Kanye is he's having a hard time. The brother is he's really fighting for his kids. He's fighting for his family. He's literally made some interesting comments on Instagram. He was actually, I believe he was banned from Instagram for a while, either banned or something, because they wiped his slate clean after he said something, I guess, about Kim Kardashian, his ex-wife. And then Trevor Noah stepped up. You know how it is. They always find that black man that'll step up and defend the white woman. So Trevor Noah steps up and challenges Kanye. Next thing you know, Kanye's whole Instagram was gone. This is true for about a month, I think. There were no posts. Everything was eliminated. I thought Kanye was gone from Instagram for good. Well, somehow he got back on Instagram, and now he's been, being very honest. And I want to say all this without, being judgmental or harsh toward Kanye or T.I. And I just have to admit, I have to be careful because I know I've met both of these guys. Kanye called my house. We talked for a few minutes. Also, T.I., I met T.I. in Ghana. I was in Ghana with him, with some other people, and I saw his wife Tiny, but I don't know these guys very well. But I have met them, right? So, so I want to be clear that I'm not here to talk about them in a negative way or in a toxic way or in a gossipy way. But I have to talk to them in an honest way, because as much as I love them as rappers and as artists, I love you more, and I love my people more, and I love the future of the Black community more. And I was sitting there with my wife this morning, and we were watching poor Kanye. You know, he's really fighting for his kids. I think he really said something about I don't want my kids in Playboy magazine, like Chris put Kim Kardashian in Playboy, and then her sister was on Playboy, and he said I don't want my daughters in the porn industry, stuff like that. And then T.I., at the same time, T.I. was going through something where his son King, I guess, got arrested. And of course, you know, when your kids get out here, you know, getting into shit, it ends up, as a parent, it's like hard as hell to deal with that. You're embarrassed. You're kind of like, oh Lord, what's going on? And everybody was turning toward T.I. and kind of saying, look, your son is a suburban kid. You know, he's not a thug. He doesn't live in the trap. He does the exact opposite. He has a type of freedom in his life that most people will never experience. T.I. fought his way out of the trap to get his kids out of the trap. But now his son is going from, pay attention now, think about this. This is kind of crazy that he's going from freedom to get back in the trap. He wants to be in the trap. He's going out getting into situations that will put him back in the trap called prison. And even T.I. on the video today mentioned that I think he said something. I could have sworn he said his son could end up in prison or something like that. And he's going to have to learn the hard way, you know, things like that. Now, let's just be clear before we begin on this. I am not speaking as an expert in parenting. I'm not speaking as a person who has never made mistakes. In fact, let's just go ahead and just do this right now. Let's wipe this slate clean. Give me a yes or no. How many parents we got in the building? Give me a yes if you're a parent. All the parents in the building, raise your hand, because I think that this requires like some degree of empathy as we're learning. Right? And I'm not sitting here just saying, oh God, they're so stupid and this is so messed up. But how many parents are in the building? And if you are a parent, Darlena and Jay, and I see you, Carol and Chantel. All right, so now give me a yes if your kids have ever really pissed you off. You know, give me a yes in the chat if children confuse you. You know, give me a yes in the chat if your children just make you mad. Like when you're like, what planet were you born on? What is wrong with you? What household did you grow up in? Who told you that? Who made you into this person that I'm looking at right now? It's hard. It's hard as hell to be a parent. Like parenting is, I'm a mathematician. Okay. That's my background. I taught mathematics at the University of Kentucky. I have done some of the most difficult mathematics equations known to man. I'm not kidding. Like that's what you face when you're at the doctoral level in mathematics. And no equation have I ever run into baffled me as much as trying to figure out the psyche of a 15-year-old girl. Or figuring out how teenagers' brains work. That is an equation I have not solved. The equation of what goes on in the mind of a child is something that I haven't solved yet, and I don't know if I'm gonna ever solve it before I'm done. That's my new life's work. So high level calculus, oh, that's easy. Differential equations, oh, we got that. Linear algebra, oh, we can do that too. Numerical analysis, we got that. The mind of a 15-year-old girl, I'm going to get an F on that test at least 50% of the time, even when I swear I know the answer. So the point that I'm making here is we all know the kids are tough, you know, and anybody who doesn't have kids, you please pay attention. Pay attention. You ain't got it all figured out. And your kids will remind you you ain't got it all figured out. You know, you could teach your kids all day and they learn a lot of the things you teach them. I learned a lot of things from my parents and our kids learn a lot of things from us. Our kids live with 2 college professors, so they can't help but learn. We have scholarly conversations around the dinner table. So our 12-year-old understands things that most college students don't. However, it's very tough, right? And so when I looked at T.I. and Kanye dealing with what they're dealing with. I think both these guys are 40 now. If Tip isn't 40 yet, he's getting there. I think Kanye's about 42, 43. And they're kind of getting to this interesting age where some of your chickens are coming home to roost. Some of the chickens are coming home to roost. And I hope I have permission to be honest here. And if I sound like an asshole, if I sound like I'm being mean, just chalk it up to the fact that maybe I am a mean asshole and I don't know it. I try not to be. I try to be diplomatic and empathetic and kind, but sometimes it don't come out like that. Sometimes it just comes out honest and direct. Um, Here's the deal. Let's start with Kanye. Let's start with Kanye. Okay. And again, I like Kanye West, one of the greatest geniuses of all time. Um, a very nice guy. He also is a big supporter of Dr. Claude Anderson, who, by the way, yesterday was Dr. Anderson's birthday. So I hope you'll consider going to powernomics.com and buying something from his family to commemorate his birthday. He's 87 now, and he's one of the great geniuses of all time. And Kanye recognizes genius, and that's one of the reasons why he did such a good job in supporting Dr. Anderson. I respect him for that. With that said, when I saw Kanye's posts, a couple things happened. One, we have concerns about his mental health. I really hope he's getting the help that he needs. When my wife and I talked to him on the phone, we offered him some help. My wife is a therapist. She works with people. She's identifying some things that are very concerning to her. Some of this ranting on the internet makes you wonder, who does he have to really talk to? He's frustrated. And a lot of people can understand that. I understand that as a black man, it's really frustrating to be a black man in this society because America's always disrespected black men. America's always disliked black men. Sometimes even our own damn women dislike black men. Sometimes other black men hate black men. Sometimes other black men will kill a black man faster than a cop will. It's very tough being a black man. So what I like about Kanye's post is that he's reflecting something that many of us feel as black men, that frustration. He's not being represented as a father. He's not being, his voice isn't being heard as a father. He's saying, I will not allow my children to be driven through this chaotic industry, in Hollywood. As a father, I'm protecting my daughters from that. Now, here's where I have to push back a little bit on that. One of the things that I think we have to understand is that the very culture that Kanye is pushing against for his daughters is the culture that he helped to create, the culture that he embraced. This is the culture that think about this. I'm not being mean here. I promise I'm not being mean. Please tell me it's okay for me to be honest. But brother, you married a Kardashian. Give me a yes and chat if you understand what I'm saying. How many of you, do any of you think, what do you think is going to happen if you marry into a family like that? Do you think Donda West, his mama, would have looked at Kim Kardashian and her lifestyle? Remember, Kim got famous off a sex tape. Let's just be clear. That was her claim to fame. Now, you can criticize it all you want, say what you want, whatever, right? But she, saw the sex tape as a come-up opportunity. She didn't care about her image being all over the internet. She didn't care about her grandkids, seeing her getting nasty with Ray J. She didn't care about none of that. She was trying to become famous. And like a boss, and she is a boss, Kim Kardashian is not a stupid lady. She might be a hoe, but she's an intelligent hoe. She might be a hoe, but she's not a stupid hoe. So Kim Kardashian went and she leveraged the opportunities that came with being a somewhat white woman, but ethnic enough to be dark, but white enough to be white. And she leveraged that into the career that she has today. Montana Fishburne, Larry Fishburne's daughter, she tried the same thing. She hung out with the Kardashians. Unfortunately, the poor girl made the mistake a lot of black children make, which is you hang around white people long enough, you start thinking you're white. So she thought, okay, I'm going to go make a sex tape too, and I'll become famous also. But she didn't become famous. She became another porn star. That's what happened. I'm not making fun of it. I'm praying for the kids, whatever, but it's just what it is. This is my observation. So here's the deal. One of the things that's interesting, and this is really, and the reason I'm even talking about this is not really for the sake of Kanye or TI. They can do whatever they want. I don't care. They may not even care about what I have to say about this. I'm really talking about us as people and really kind of breaking it down. The name of this podcast, if you search for it, we're actually on Spotify, by the way. So if you search for the Dr. Boyce Breakdown, you'll find the podcast on Spotify too. The breakdown of this is the following. That which you pour into may ultimately become that which you become. It may ultimately lead to the world that you have to live in. You make that bed and eventually you got to sleep in it. You create a culture, eventually you got to live within it. You perpetuate certain ideologies throughout the world. Eventually that shit comes full circle. Next thing you know, your kids are considering doing the very same things as the women you were chasing 20 years ago. Because let's just be clear, Kanye's mama Donda was not a woman who became famous off a sex tape. Kanye's black mama Donda became famous because she was a college professor who raised a lyrical and musical genius. That's what Donda's claim to fame is. That's what Donda was. Donda was a brilliant professor who raised a son who eventually changed the world. Kanye could have married another Donda. In fact, how many of y'all, give me a yes or no, how many black women, I'm asking, this is a question solely for the black women in the room. How many of y'all really identify with Donda West? How many of you feel like if you sat down and had a conversation with Donda, it would be a wonderful conversation? How many of y'all feel like if you and Donda were friends or homegirls, y'all would be like the best of buddies? She was Southside Chicago. She taught at Chicago State University. She was 100% black. She loved the hell out of her son. She was doing the right things with her life. How many? She wanted to read books. She wasn't trying to make sex tapes. She was writing books and reading books. Like seriously. So a lot of us as black people could identify heavily with a Donda West. So there's many Dondas Kanye could have married. He could have sought out the Dondas. The Dondas were all lining up to see him at his concerts. But pay attention now, and this is not me criticizing him. I promise you. I want to keep reiterating that because if it's back to Kanye, I not only did I meet Kanye, but I know a lot of people that know him, and I don't want this to come off as me attacking him. This is not Dr. Boyce attacks Kanye. No, this is me serving truth, even if it's a little bit offensive. Instead of picking a Donda, Kanye picked a fucking Kardashian. Let's just be clear. When I saw that happen, I remember thinking, I wouldn't have made that same choice because I married me a Donda. my wife is a black woman who teaches college students in a city near Chicago. So I didn't want a Kardashian. I married me a Donda. Some of y'all call me a simp for wanting to marry me a Donda, but my wife is a Donda. She's just like her. She reads about Kanye's mama, and she loves Kanye's mama. Because she also, my wife spent many years living in Chicago. She's also a college professor. She also loves her kids. So I'm sitting there just trying to say to the black man, if you marry a Kardashian, you're gonna get some Kardashian shit. Really. I mean, you marry into a family that thinks that it makes sense to have your children doing sex tapes to become famous and to become rich, and that being rich and famous is the most important thing on earth, no matter what the cost. What kind of culture are you buying into? Chickens do come home to roost, and that's just the reality of it all. And then let me keep going. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. Also, there's my website. It's boycewatkins.com. So if you'd like to join us tonight, we're doing a free Forex event in the Black Business School. If you're interested in learning how to invest in Forex and stuff like that, we have a great partner named Courtney Logan, who is a great attorney and a 4-time national debate champion, ironically, but he's also licensed at high levels in Forex trading. So if you'd like to join his free event, just go to boycewatkins.com. Look there at the top. The link is right there. Okay, so let's go back. Let's finish off. So we're talking about T.I. and Kanye West. We're talking about the struggles they're having with their families. We're talking about T.I.'s challenges with his son King. We're talking about Kanye's challenges with his children and dealing with being a divorcee from a Kardashian family, where I believe, unfortunately, Kanye's kind of stuck in a tough pickle because he's going to have to co-parent with Kim for the rest of his life. And unfortunately, we also live in a world where co-parenting for some families doesn't mean mother and father having equal say in the decisions. Co-parenting for some families means that the mother makes all the decisions and the father just deals with it. And so ultimately, for young black men, when you pick a woman, I encourage you to pick a woman who really values the role that the father must play in the family. If she does not value the father's role in decision making, then that might not be the woman for you. That's just my 2 cents. That's what I believe. All right. So let's go back to, let's talk about T.I. now. Now, T.I.'s challenge, again, which I completely empathize with, I totally get it, is with his son King. His son King apparently, wants to be a gangster, wants to be a thug. I see him on the internet. He looks kind of silly. He's kind of loud and obnoxious and everything else. And I guess that's just kind of the hip hop persona, right? Unfortunately, a lot of hip hop artists we buy into the record labels, record industry, recording industry, or all these record labels. Their effort is, in my view, to make the black man kind of look like a cartoon character, right? So you have to be you have to be loud, you got to be obnoxious, you have to have arrogance that goes through the roof. You carry your 50 gold chains around your neck, your 25 tattoos and whatever, your 18 women, your new sports cars and all that. You got a gun in your lap. You got to do all this stuff that's like over the top hyper masculinity, to the point that it's not just weird and insane, but it literally denies you the right to even be a human being anymore, because you have to be completely over the top. So King has embraced all this. I've seen the kid on the internet. He looks silly. He looks kind of goofy. But then again, I'm sure a lot of us look goofy when we were 18 or whatever. I guess he's trying to find his place in the world. And also the other thing too is, I don't think a lot of us can understand King's life, because a lot of us don't know what it's like to have a world famous father who, who probably made his share of mistakes along the way. Right. So when I see King and TI kind of dealing with that, what I'm really fascinated by is how so many things go full circle. I see King, and if you remember, T.I. also had that whole issue, not just with his son, but also remember his daughter. You remember that comment a few years ago about him checking her, whatever the hell it was, in her vagina. I forgot what that piece of the vagina was. I didn't even know what it was at the time. But he's basically saying checking her inner parts to make sure she was still a virgin. I forgot. I can't remember what it was called, but it was some. But let's not even go there. But that was obviously inappropriate. And I do remember seeing his daughter when we were in Ghana. I saw T.I., I saw Tiny, and I think that the daughter was there. There was some daughter there. I believe it was her. And here's the thing. So what's interesting to me is that you have a guy like T.I., grew up in the trap, unfortunately, was caught up in the wave of all the drugs that the CIA put into the black community, in the wave of mass incarceration, where they were locking up just so many black men that prison became kind of part of our culture. And he survived all that. He survived all that because he's intelligent, he's charismatic, he is courageous, he's strategic, and he's brilliant. That's what allowed him to elevate, because the world noticed his talent. And I did too. T.I. is one of my favorite rappers in terms of lyrical ability, lyrical dexterity. I think he's extraordinarily good. But even 15 years ago, I can tell you that as I looked at T.I. from a distance, there were parts of that culture I did not enjoy at all. A lot of the culture that these record labels pay black men to promote, it is a culture that is very dangerous. That will get you killed at an early age. That's why so many rappers die every year. It is a culture that will get you incarcerated, that will take away your freedom because you end up in prison. It is a culture that also takes away your spirit, because it gets you heavily involved in drugs, whether it's drug use and addiction, drug selling, all kinds of stuff. And anybody who's ever been a drug addict knows that that's not where you want to be. You're not free when you're a drug addict. You are a slave to the dope dealer at that point. So the idea of black people embracing a culture that makes us bigger slaves is a problem. And I believe it should be a problem to you also. I understand the music is lit. The beats are dope. The songs are awesome to dance to. But you can't sit and dance to the beat of your own genocide and then wonder why you're dying so much. You just can't. You can't sit here and celebrate your own death while at the same time saying that Black Lives Matter. Because if you're celebrating your own death, then Black lives don't matter to you. If Black death matters, you want Black people dead. So what I would say to you is that when I would listen to T.I.'s lyrics, and I listened to them all because I thought he was a great rapper. I was at a stage in my life where I could listen to the music and I wasn't going to go out thugging and gangbanging and killing nobody. It was just straight entertainment for me because I was a college professor at the time. I was a PhD student at the time. So I wasn't going to go out and get locked up because of something I heard in a song. Right now, the kids who go get locked up because of things they hear in the song are the kids in the hood that have no opportunities. They then think that this is some sort of image of masculinity. So next thing you know, they out here doing all kinds of ridiculous shit because the media and the entertainment influences the mindset of our kids. So here we are, 15 years later, 20 years later. So T.I.'s had this legendary career. He's made millions and millions of dollars. He is known all throughout the world, and then suddenly, reality brings him back down to earth. Now he's a parent. He's a middle-aged parent who's trying to figure out, how in the hell do I protect my children from the very culture that I help to facilitate, create, and promote around the world? It's not T.I.'s fault. It's not. I mean, T.I. didn't create all of this. T.I. benefited from it. He added to it. He profited from it tremendously. It built his career. But T.I. was a guy who was he kind of came to epitomize this culture. So your children are gonna watch all of this shit, and they're gonna say, okay, this is how daddy got big. Just like Kanye's children might say, well, mama got famous off a sex tape. That's what y'all did back when y'all were my age. And it's kind of hard for you to say, like, okay, yeah, but you're privileged now. You're different. You don't have to do what I did. I don't want you to do what I did, because unfortunately, kids watch a lot of what we do. They just do. They do. So unfortunately, I think King, I don't know this kid. I don't know him at all. I'm not going to talk too much about somebody I don't know like that. But I'll say, I wonder if he thinks to himself, well, you know what? My daddy's a man. My daddy's the coldest gangster out here, and he went to jail. So I got to go to jail because I don't want people thinking I'm a lame suburban kid who might want to go to the library instead of going to prison. Or maybe I want to go and do something positive instead of getting caught up in dealing dope or deal whatever. Like, I'm not saying King's doing any of these things. I'm not even saying that the arrest was justified. What I'm saying is that when I saw the arrest and then I saw his father's reaction to it, that looked very familiar to me. That looked like a disappointed dad who's like, I'm tired. I'm throwing my hands up because he's up here trying to be like me. And I think T.I. gets it. He's a smart man. So I know he gets it. I know he gets it. But I'm saying to you, black man and black woman, that one of the great things that I think black men have in us is we have a godlike ability to manifest. We create realities for other people. If you have a father who is a drug addict and an alcoholic, who beats his wife every day in front of the kids and throws away the family money and does horrible things to the family, that's going to traumatize everybody. It's going to affect them so much that they're going to need therapy for the rest of their lives. He will create generational curses that will last long after he is gone. I've seen it. I know families that still talk about men who did terrible things in the 1940s that still affect the family today. That's the power of a man when it comes to doing evil. That's also the power of the man when it comes to doing good. And so when I look at T.I. and I see what's going on with his family, I see a man who's going to definitely have his hands full. And I see a person who unfortunately has to confront the reality that his son, everything his son looks up to, everything his son thinks is cool, everything his son thinks is lit, it came literally from his son being a student of all the things that he was seeing around him in terms of what made his daddy into one of the most respected men in all of Atlanta. His father did not become a great man by becoming a heart surgeon. If he had, then guess what? You'd be reading about King going to Harvard and studying heart surgery at the age of 18, 19 years old. His father didn't become successful by being a great pastor, because if he had, then, his son would be up in the church trying to get in the pulpit, trying to find. So a lot of young men, I believe, try to find themselves by really studying what their dads did. And it can come in one or two ways. See, here's the deal. Let me just be clear. I'm going to repeat this so you don't think that this is a diss on T.I. I want to make sure I keep throwing in the compliments toward him to let you know that I have a tremendous amount of respect for him and his family. And when I met them, he was professional, courteous. Tiny was very courteous and respectful. They're very good people, very smart people. I have nothing but admiration for them. But let me just say this. There's a difference between having a daddy who's a thug or gangster who says, son, let me tell you the stories about the things I did when I was your age. And him telling you the stories in a way that says, son, don't do what I did. My daddy was there. Maybe one of the reasons subconsciously that I like T.I.'s music, or I thought he was a great artist, is because he reminds me of my father. My father's just like him, actually. My father's a little light-skinned black man with an ego as big as a damn house. Like a George Jefferson kind of thing. I call it the George Jefferson complex. So because he was small, he always wanted to show that he was big. And my father was in the Vietnam War. He has actually killed people in his life. And I don't know exactly what happened in Vietnam, but I know that it was so bad that he doesn't even talk about it. So I understand this, right? My father, every story that Ti can tell his son about the streets, my daddy can tell stories that are just as bad. Just to say, every time he could talk about where he had to squeeze the trigger, my father could tell me stories about squeezing the trigger. But let me tell you the difference between one scenario and the other. In hip hop, we tell those stories in a way that glorifies the violence. In hip hop, we've been trained to tell the stories in a way that glorifies getting locked up. In hip hop, we tell the stories in a way that make young kids hear it and say, I'm in love with the Coco. Or I want to be a gangster. I want to be a thug. I want to be a killer. Because those are the men that everybody respects. That's how I can become famous. White people will pay me money to get on the stage and call myself a nigga and hold my nuts with 18 chains around my neck and literally act like a damn clown. That's what you're literally telling the kids. That's why they do it. That's what hip hop does. But what an intelligent, evolved father does. And I'm gonna tell you, another rapper I listen to very closely, who happens to also be a person I met and talked to on quite often, is Ice Cube. The difference with Cube is that when you listen to Ice Cube's music when he was 20, it definitely fit into the creation of a culture that is not helpful to young people. But then again, he was young, so he didn't know better. But when Ice Cube evolved, when he got older, if you listen carefully, he was no longer glorifying black men murdering each other. If you listen closely, he got to a certain stage, he wasn't glorifying black men going to prison. When he got to a certain stage, he wasn't talking about drugs, like drug selling or drug using, like it's a good thing. He didn't do that anymore. He started taking the role of the intelligent OG who would tell the same stories about everything that goes on in the street, but he would tell it the way my daddy used to tell the stories. My daddy would say, son, let me tell you about this crazy thing I did when I was 18, and this is why you don't want to do what I did. Here, let me tell you about the time me and so-and-so did XYZ and almost got sent to prison. You don't want to be stupid like we were. Or when people would ask me, even in my father's profession, my dad was a cop, and even when we talked about, when people would say, you're gonna be like your daddy when you grow up, my dad would say, no, he's not. He's gonna be better. He's going to college. He's staying out the street. He ain't going to jail. He's not gonna have to learn the hard way. That's the way evolution is supposed to look. Now, I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that I think T.I.'s not doing that with his son. For all I know, he could have told him all the right things, and this boy could just be doing whatever he wants. But what I'm saying to you is that when I see what T.I. and Kanye are dealing with, I'm sitting there thinking, yeah, this is kind of what I expected, because for a long time, you and all these big white and Jewish record labels that don't give a damn about black folks were making millions of dollars promoting things to black people that you knew was fucked up from the beginning. You know that shit ain't right. You know it ain't healthy. You know, you see the other side of this. And again, I want to slow down and say I'm not dissing either one of these guys. This is something I have to be real clear about, because I don't hate rappers. I actually like rappers a lot. I like them when they use their power in a way that empowers the community. And I just think as black people, we got to look at the damn hypocrisy, man. We have to be honest about the fact that we are being incredibly hypocritical. On one hand, you're trying to say Black Lives Matter. On the other hand, you're trying to just celebrate killing each other like it ain't nothing. On one hand, you're getting pissed off because a cop shot a black man, but you ain't got nothing to say when a black man shot a black man. On one hand, you're talking about black wealth and poverty and all this other stuff. On the other hand, you're celebrating multimillionaire rappers who take all the money and want to go give it away to Louis and Gucci and Versace and all that other shit. I liked Kanye. You know, there's so many things I like about Kanye as a person. I respect him as a genius, but I give zero fucks about Adidas, The Gap, and Louis Vuitton and all the and the Paris fashion show. I don't care about any of that. None of that matters to me at all. So I think as black people, this is, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This is what led me to have this conversation today. I'm not here to say anything negative about these guys. This is not a conversation meant to be gossipy toward their family lives. I completely empathize with all the struggles that they are having raising children, because I understand those struggles too. Our kids drive us crazy. So one day you might see me in the headline, Dr. Boyce murders his child, news at 11. I'm kidding. Yeah, that will never be my story, but anything's possible. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that, these chickens do come home to roost, and we must think about not just what we pour into the culture, but also what we allow others to pour into the culture. We allow people to promote things for our kids that are just not healthy. So if Kanye is worried about his daughter growing up to be like a Kardashian, then you have to ask yourself, why would you go have a child with a Kardashian if you did not want your daughter to be a Kardashian? Your daughter is going to be a Kardashian, brother, whether you like it or not. She's also Kanye's daughter too. She's going to get a lot of that, but she's going to be half Kim. And if you look at Kim's track record, everything Kim did and how she became famous, think about it. Kim Kardashian is one of the few people on this earth who has achieved the extraordinary feat of being really famous and really rich while having absolutely no talent whatsoever. Tell me one thing that Kim Kardashian is good at other than taking selfies with a big fake booty. Literally, Kim Kardashian, she cannot sing. Kim Kardashian, she cannot dance. Kim Kardashian, she cannot act. Kim Kardashian has not written any famous books. She's not a film director. She has done nothing. She literally became famous from a sex tape, and then she was smart enough as a businesswoman to leverage that into this really empty, shallow culture that we have, where people will help somebody make $1 billion by just taking selfies all day. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But that's life. That's life. That's what it is. Some things happen in the world that we don't understand. Life ain't fair. I feel sorry for you Black women that are spending all your time in the library and trying to be solid, decent human beings, and you get good men that will pass over you so they can go marry a Kardashian. And honestly, I'm offended by it. I'm offended for all the Dondas in the world who said, no, I'm not going to go out and make a sex tape. No, I'm not going to go out and embarrass the family. No, I want to be positioned so that I can be an adequate role model for my child, so I can raise a child who's actually going to be somebody in this world. I feel sorry for the Donda types in the world, because I don't understand the Black men who will pass over a Donda and marry a Kardashian. I'm not making fun of you, Kanye. I promise. If you hear this, please don't get mad. You're welcome to call me if you hear this, because I'm not dissing you. I swear it's not a diss, but it's really a matter of honest reflection on what we do in our lives and whether or not we're being a little bit contradictory in our behavior. Well, that's my 2 cents. I don't have anything else to say. Those are my thoughts. I got them out. I hope that this conversation was helpful to you in some way. And I want to reiterate that I think Kanye and TI are 2 of the greatest geniuses of all time. And I didn't even have this conversation for their benefit. It's really for your benefit. It's really a matter of us understanding that everything boomerangs. What you put out in the world is what you get back. That's literally it. And a lot of times, unfortunately, it can show up in our children. I've even learned this myself the hard way in my own family. Ain't nobody in this conversation perfect. So as much as we might want to condemn these guys for the situations that they might have created for themselves, just remember, in your own life, you're going to find areas where you make mistakes too. But I encourage you to understand that what you put out into the world is typically what you're going to get back. So invest in yourself in a positive way. Fight for your family, fight for your community, fight for your dignity. And that's what you're going to have. All right. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get on out of here. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Also, don't forget that tonight we're doing the Forex training event. It's totally free. It's going to be online, so you can join from anywhere. Just go to boycewatkins.com if you're interested in learning Forex. So I'll see you guys soon. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care now. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, 10, 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.